Well done. Priest. One of my favorite classes in game, and along with paladins, I favor priests the most. Um, Very similar class to druid, also very complicated as druid, and a very hard class to play with. A very complicated class. So let's begin step by step. What are priests? Priests are ranged support characters with a lot of heals, a lot of buffs, a lot of debuffs, and solid damage dealers with skills, spells. Priests do not have penalties, same as paladins, but they have limitations when you want to pair them with paladins. Have that in mind. Priests come with 5 keywords: condemnation, restoration, protection, inspiration, and punishment. What it means? It means next thing. Condemnation serves as a debuff. You gain skills, spells for debuff with condemnation. With restoration keyword, you gain a lot of healing spells. With protection keyword, you gain a lot of shields and basically spells that will prevent you from dying. With inspiration, you gain a lot of buffs for your whole party and yourself. With punishment, you deal damage. Priests are very versatile. They buff your attribute points. They prevent you from dying. They heal. They fight in range and in melee. They all have their unique, different spiritual weapons. As I said, they're very complicated. Godlike is one of the best choices when you want to play with priests. And now we come to the subclasses for a priest. Subclasses are Berat, Eotes, Negron, Scan, and Veil. All gods from Pillars of Eternity universe. After all, Berat, the main villain against Eotes, the big giant we're following around. That's the story, after all. So, let's start with Berat. Berat is the god of death. What it means? It means when you pick Berat as a subclass, you'll gain a lot of debuffs, you'll gain corrode damage. Basically, Berat is an offensive priest, and spiritual weapon that you gain when you pick Berat is Great Sword. So, two-handed weapon, Great Sword. What does it mean when you pair your priest in multiclass? Since we gain Great Sword, corrode damage, and a lot of debuffs, best way to go is with fighter, paladin, or monk. Why? They're melee, same as Berat is. Fighter will give you a lot of damage, accuracy, and endurance. Paladin will give you the same. Monk will give you attack speed, and he also needs heals that priest provides. Yeah. Best choices for Berat are human, death, godlike, that black godlike race, and elves. Next in line is Eotes, that big, bold guy that we're following around. Eotes is the god of light, total opposite to Berat. And what Eotes does? You have heals, buffs, revive, support, and spiritual weapon in flail. You use flail as a spiritual weapon. Complete opposite from Berat. Best multiclasses for Eotes are Chanter and Ranger. Chanter because it gives extra buffs on top of your buffs from Eotes, and Ranger because of Animal Companion. Eotes, when you want to pick race for this subclass, best way to go is with human, godlike, and elf. Moon godlike is a very solid option. Negron, the goddess of war and fire. Negron Priest deals a lot of fire damage, burn damage, damage over time. It's a damage priest, similar to Berat, only this time instead of corrode we got burn. Weapons of choice, or better to say, the weapons you get as your spiritual weapons, the weapons you must carry, are pistol and a sword. Scion of Flame passive is a great way to go when you mix Negron with Paladin. Why? Because you get more burn damage from Paladin, or you can mix it with a Fire Wizard. Wizard is also a very good option. The last option for multiclass with Negron is Ranger, again because of Animal Companion. Best choices in race to go with Negron are Fire Godlike, that's Red Godlike in races, and Aumua. Next, Scan. Scan is God of Hate and Violence, the worst god in Pillars of Eternity 2. What it means? It means Scan has a lot of buffs, debuffs, he uses stealth, burst damage, and his weapon of choice, his spiritual weapons, are Stiletto and Club. There is only one way to mix Scan in multiclass, and that would be with Rogue. Why? Rogue crits, also with stealth, invisibility, everything in Rogue class mixes well with Priest Scan. Best race for Scan is Human. Imagine that. The next and the last one, Veil, is the God of Dreams. Veil is tanky with a lot of crowd control, a lot of debuffs, and Veil uses Rad as his spiritual weapon. What are the classes that we can mix Veil Priest with? It's Paladin, Monk, and Rogue, perhaps even Fighter. This is a tank version of Priest, and the best race for Veil Priest is a Dwarf. Dwarf, Priest, Veil paired, for example, with Fighter with +1 enemies engaged and his endurance will be a great choice if you need a tank for your party with a lot of crowd control and debuffs. As I said, Priest is very complicated. We're not done yet. Now here are the things that I was speaking about. Condemnation, Protection, Inspiration, Restoration, and Protection. So what do we pick? We need to pick one. Let's see. Let's go, for example, with something that's fun. We could go with a damage dealing priest. If we want damage dealing priest, we have to pick between Berat and Negron. Negron sounds like fun, although I hate that god, to be honest. Scan is stealthy rogue priest. I kinda hate him too. Eotes is a cool dude, but that's a support priest with a lot of healings. It doesn't matter, let's pick something. Let's pick Berat. Berat debuffs, corrode damage, very offensive priest with great sword, two-handed melee weapon, we say next. Well, now we know we have a damage dealing priest with corrode damage, yeah? So, what's the first option? Barbs of Condemnation, Punishment. That's the option for Berat. If you wanna go, for example, with Eotes, you go with Restore, Heals, get it? If you go with Negron, you go with Holy Power, or you can go with Barbs of Condemnation too. And so on. Say next. Imagine we pick Berat. Oh, attributes. Berat. Things you need for Berat the most are Intellect, Area of Effect, longer spell duration, very simple. Might, because you want to deal damage, is the next one in line. And Resolve, because you wanna be a bit tanky. This is for Berat. If you wanna go with Eotes, you go with Might, Intelligence, and Resolve at the end. Then Might is the most important. Although I divided them here, it should be like this for Berat, and it should be like this for Eotes. Now, if you pick Negron, Might is the most important stat, then Perception, because you need accuracy, and after that, Intellect. If you pick Scan, Priest, the most important stat is Might, then Intellect, and at the end, Resolve. If you pick Veil, Priest, the most important stat is Resolve, then Constitution, and at the end, it's Intellect. Why? Because Veil Priest, as we said, is a tank, so that's why Constitution and Resolve are very important. But we said we want to play Berat Priest and deal damage, yeah? So we go with Intellect, Might, and Resolve. Maybe even like this, to be honest. And now we say next. The most important stat for Berat is Intellect, which means Old Werglia. Next. Now what do we do here? We said we want to deal damage and we have Great Sword, yeah? So, Athletics is the way to go. Laborer or Mercenary? Let's go with Mercenary because of Intimidation. Next. Great Sword. There we go. Simple as that. Maybe something ranged too. For example, Arquebus. So this too, we take Great Sword because our spiritual weapon is Great Sword of Berat. Next. This doesn't matter. We're gonna skip and we're gonna level up. So show you what to take. Let's take our Priest. And level him up. We said we wanna play Berat. So we go with Athletics and we go with Intimidation. Next. As I said, Punishment, Condemnation are the most important keywords for Berat. As you can see here, we have keywords Decay over here. Damage over time. Everything is about damage with Berat. It's simple as that. Now, what we want to take next would be Interdiction, Condemnation. And we say next. After this, again we go with Athletics, Intimidation. We're gonna go 1-2 levels more. And now we pick damage again, yeah. So we pick Punishment, Pillar of Fate. Over here, what we search, since our spiritual weapon for Berat is Great Sword, we go with 2 weapon style, and we're gonna give Recovery up. Sorry, that's dual wielding. 2-handed style, and we're gonna gain 15% more damage with our spiritual weapon Great Sword. This is what we go for. Let me say next. Next. Athletics. Intimidation. Next. And now we can go with more Condemnation or with more Punishment. Although, here's our spiritual weapon. Call forth the Divine Weapon. This is our Great Sword that comes with Berat. As you can see, additional effects at scale with weapon accuracy, damage, and penetration increases with wielder's level. 50% damage is dealt as a corrode. This is crazy good weapon. So we take spiritual weapon. So for example, this is spiritual weapon for Berat. If we took Eotes, we would get Flail. So we would play our priest with Flail. If we would pick Negron, we would get Pistol and Sword. If we would play Skane Priest, we would get Stiletto and Club over here with spiritual weapon. If we take Whale Priest, then we would get Rad instead of this. This keeps changing. As I said, Priest is complicated, but it's very fun to play. And the last things that I'm gonna say about Priest, he can wear light armor, medium armor, heavy armor. It depends on a subclass, it depends with multiclassing. He can heal, he can buff, he can debuff, deal damage, take damage, receive damage, prevent you from dying. He can be range support, melee damage dealer, range damage dealer. Priest is just awesome to play. You can have 10 playthroughs and have 10 different priests, and each of them will be fun. My recommendation is go with Priest. It is complicated, but it's fucking worth. Just pay attention. When you go with damage, go with damage. Go with condemnation and punishment. When you go with a healer, you go with restoration and protection, maybe even inspiration. When you go, for example, with a rogue-like priest scan mixed with rogue in multiclass, then you go with stealth, you go with burst, you go with crits, with invisibility, with debuffs, and you try to one-shot everyone. Multiple ways to play the priest, and I fucking love it. This was the last guide for classes, races, and everything you need to know about the game is now in my guides for each class. Next guides will be about the map, ship management, inventory management, but I'll take my time there and I'll probably release those guides in 10 days from now. I thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.